Have you ever noticed how we hurt the people closest to us the most? And why does that happen so often with our moms? Maybe you have a memory like this. A moment when your mom said something, and you brushed it off. A time you rolled your eyes at her advice. Or when she was talking to you, and you just kept staring at your phone until the conversation died. Maybe it seemed like nothing. Just one small moment, but behind that moment is something much deeper than bad manners. Or a rude habit. There's a strange psychology behind ignoring your mom. And today, we're going to unpack it. Because this isn't just a personality flaw. It's one of the most common, painful patterns in family relationships. So let's start with the behavior itself. What does it really mean to ignore someone? It means acting like their presence doesn't matter. You don't really listen. You don't respond. You don't make eye contact. Sometimes you don't even acknowledge they spoke at all. But here's what's interesting. Most of us don't do this nearly as often with friends, co-workers, or even romantic partners. So why mom? The first reason is something psychology calls a secure base. In simple terms, your mom often feels like the one person who will still be there no matter what. As kids, we learn this early. Even if she gets mad, even if there's conflict, some part of us believes she won't truly leave. That sense of safety is a gift. But it can also become a problem. Because when someone feels emotionally permanent, we start treating them like they can absorb anything. Their patience starts to feel unlimited. Their love starts to feel guaranteed. And that false sense of security can make us careless. We become ruder with the people we believe are least likely to walk away. Think about that for a second. Sometimes the very reason we feel safest with someone is the reason we treat them the worst. The second reason is more complicated. It's about power and independence. As we grow up, every one of us wants to become our own person. We want emotional space. We want agency. We want the right to make our own choices without feeling managed. But when a mom keeps stepping in with opinions about your job, your relationships, your parenting, your life, something inside you can push back. And that pushback isn't always loud. Sometimes it comes out as silence. Sometimes it comes out as disengagement. Sometimes it looks like ignoring her completely. Because on a deeper level, that behavior can become a defense. A way of saying, you don't control me anymore. Not with words, with distance. Especially in close families, this gets even stronger. The emotional bond is deep, but so is the need to separate. And that creates tension. Listening to your mom can start to feel, unfairly, like slipping back into the role of a child. Like if you take her advice seriously, you're admitting you still need her authority. So instead of arguing, you shut down. Instead of explaining, you dismiss. Instead of saying, I need space, you act like her words don't matter. Not because you're cruel, but because part of you is trying to protect your sense of self. Now here's the third reason, and this one cuts deeper. A lot of people who ignore their moms are not emotionally indifferent. They're emotionally overloaded. There may be years of hurt underneath the surface. Maybe your mom was too controlling. Maybe she was emotionally distant. Maybe she broke promises. Maybe she was harsh when you needed comfort. Maybe she loved you, but not in the way you needed to feel safe. And kids remember that, even when they grow up. Even when they become adults. The body remembers. The nervous system remembers. The heart definitely remembers. But talking honestly about that pain can feel almost impossible. So instead of saying, you hurt me, some people express it indirectly. They withdraw. They go cold. They become dismissive. In psychology, this is often called passive aggression. It's when anger doesn't come out openly. It leaks out sideways, through silence, through indifference, through that flat, cutting energy that says, you don't get access to me. So when your mom talks and you keep scrolling on your phone, it may look like you don't care. But sometimes that silence is carrying years of resentment. Sometimes whatever mom really means, I still haven't recovered from how you made me feel. And this is where it gets painful. Because the behavior looks small, but the emotion behind it often isn't. The fourth reason is a very practical one. Generational difference. Your mom grew up in a different world. Different rules, different survival strategies, different ideas about marriage, work, sacrifice, respect, and what it means to be a good person. So when she says something like, you just need to put up with it, you may hear something totally different. You may hear, your feelings don't matter. When she says, that's just how life is, you may hear, don't question anything. And maybe you could explain all of that. Maybe you could sit down and translate your worldview every single time. But let's be honest, that gets exhausting, fast. At some point, emotional fatigue kicks in. You get tired of defending your boundaries. Tired of explaining modern life. To someone who seems committed to misunderstanding it, tired of turning every conversation into a debate. And when people get emotionally tired, they stop trying. They stop clarifying. They stop engaging. Ignoring becomes easier than translating yourself over and over again. So no, it's not always laziness. Sometimes it's burnout. Relational burnout. The kind that makes even a simple conversation feel heavy before it starts. But now we have to ask the real question. Does ignoring your mom actually help you? In the short term, maybe. It can feel easier, cleaner, safer than conflict. It lets you avoid the awkwardness, the guilt, the emotional drag. But long term, it usually comes at a cost. A big one. Your mom gets hurt, obviously. Being ignored by someone you love is deeply painful. Especially when that someone is your child. But the person doing the ignoring doesn't get away clean either. Because afterward comes the guilt. The self-blame. The uneasy feeling that maybe you went too far. And underneath all of that is fear. Fear that one day the distance will become permanent. Fear that the relationship will slowly harden into something cold and unreachable. Fear that you'll want to repair it later, and find out later never came. That's the part people don't talk about enough. Ignoring protects you in the moment. But over time, it can quietly damage your own mental and emotional well-being too. Because unresolved relationships don't just disappear. They live in the background. They show up in your stress, your regret, your sensitivity, your other relationships. And if this pattern repeats long enough, it can turn normal conflict into emotional estrangement. Not one big explosion, just a slow drifting apart. One missed conversation at a time. One dismissive moment at a time. One cold response at a time. Until one day, the distance feels normal. And that's when it gets dangerous. So how do you break the cycle? The first step is honesty. Not performative honesty, real honesty. You have to ask yourself what you're ignoring is actually made of. Is it anger? Is it hurt? Is it exhaustion? Is it the feeling of being controlled? Is it grief for the kind of mother-child relationship you wish you had? Don't stop at, she annoys me. Go deeper. Try, when she talks to me in that tone, I feel small. Or, when she gives me advice I didn't ask for, I feel like my choices aren't respected. Or even, part of me is still reacting to things that happened years ago. That kind of clarity matters. Because vague emotions create vague behavior. But specific emotions can lead to change. The second step is smaller than you think. You do not need a perfect heart-to-heart right away. Start tiny. When your mom speaks, put the phone down. Look at her, just for a moment. You don't have to agree with everything she says. You don't have to pretend she's right. You don't have to become the perfect son or daughter overnight. You just have to send one simple signal. I'm here, and I hear you. That alone can shift the emotional temperature of a relationship. The third step is courage. Not dramatic courage, honest courage. The courage to replace silence with words. Instead of ignoring her, try saying, "Mom, when you say it like that, I shut down." Or, "I know you're trying to help, but that comment makes me feel judged." Or even, "I've been distant because I'm carrying feelings. I haven't known how to explain." Will it feel awkward? Probably. Will it come out perfectly? Probably not. But it will still be better than another year of emotional static. Because once a real conversation starts, something important happens. Both people get a chance to become human again. Not just roles. Not just the mother and the child. But two people. Two imperfect people. Both carrying history. Both wanting to be understood. And yes, some relationships are more painful than others. Some mothers are loving but intrusive. Some are emotionally unavailable. Some are deeply wounded themselves. So this is not about blaming yourself for every difficult dynamic. And it's not about forcing closeness where safety doesn't exist. It's about noticing when avoidance has become your default language. And asking whether that language is still serving you. Because being ignored by someone you love hurts in a way that's hard to describe. And when that person is your own child, the wound can go incredibly deep. Ignoring someone isn't just uncomfortable. It clogs the emotional bloodstream of a relationship. It blocks warmth, repair, trust. And if it keeps happening, that blockage hardens. What feels like a small act today can become a wall tomorrow. But here's the hopeful part. If your mom is still here, the story is not over. There is still time to do one small thing differently. One call, one softer answer, one moment of eye contact, one sentence you would normally swallow. Healing doesn't happen all at once. Old pain rarely disappears in a single conversation. But relationships often change through tiny turning points. And this could be one of them. Maybe the moments when you ignored your mom were never really about not caring. Maybe they were about wanting to be seen. wanting to be respected, wanting to be understood by the person whose voice shaped your inner world first. If that's true, then maybe the next step isn't more distance. Maybe it's honesty. Maybe it's saying the real thing instead of performing indifference. Maybe it's choosing conversation over punishment, connection over pride, healing over habit. So if this hits something real in you, don't just sit with it. Do one small thing today. Text her, call her, or if she's right there, say one gentle sentence you've been avoiding. Because in the end, the people we take for granted are often the people we'd miss the most. And sometimes the biggest turning point in your life begins with the smallest moment of attention. Not ignoring, not avoiding, just finally looking up, and choosing to love out loud.